Oh, can you hear me?
Amazing. Yeah. Automat Scarth.
Uh,
How you
Hey,
doing?
how are you? Doing well. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You're welcome to the book show. The one student, one book, one author mantra. It's a rare opportunity and privilege to have a fine mind like you on our book show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I do appreciate it.
Wow. So Automat, I like you to talk to us about your journey into authorhood. And I'd like you to share with us the significance of written words, reading, and being a lifelong learner for you as a person. That's what the
Okay.
show is about, to get to know you and your reading lifestyle. But first, I'd like you to tell us about author Matt Scott.
Author Matt Scott. It was a long journey for me to get here, and it was actually a journey that I never expected to be on. But you know, I always took an interest in uh, international politics, and the international scene of geopolitics. So, um, when I had the opportunity to write a book or a book series about Iran. I just kind of jumped into it, and this was something that was totally new for me. I had never written a book before. I'd always been reasonably good at writing, but I've never written a book before. So I just kind of dove into it based on what I had read before, and just tried to kind of piece together the plot as best I could. And I was
Wow,
fortunate enough to get a series of novels out of it.
wow, wow, amazing, amazing, awesome. So I think you are first a reader before a writer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I like you to tell us at what point in your life did you become very intentional about improving or staying a lifelong learner?
It's a funny story because when I was growing up, I really did not enjoy reading. I didn't. We had and I was in high school and college. They gave us a bunch of assigned reading assignments that I just, books that I did not enjoy. But when Dan Brown came out with the Da Vinci Code back in 2003, I kind of got caught
Mm,
up in the phenomenon that was
mm,
the Da Vinci Code. So
yeah,
I just started reading. I read that, and I started reading all of Dan Brown's books, and then I just kind of branched out, and I started reading guys like Vince Flynn and Brad Thor and Jack Carr and David Baldacci, and it's
mm,
been a nonstop show for me since. And I
mm,
will always believe that in order to be a writer, you have to be a
yeah,
reader,
mm,
because you need to understand. When you're reading a novel, you're not only enjoying the journey that the author is taking you on, but
yeah,
if you want to write, you have to pay attention to the how the author goes about doing that. So when you're reading, you're not just enjoying it for pleasure. You're actually taking a class on how the
yeah.
author, weaves his plot and develops his characters.
Wow, wow, amazing. So I like to ask you for your audience and your soon-to-be readers globally.
Hmm.
Being someone who loves politics, like you said,
Hmm.
what would you say would be the significance of written words, books, to this current, as in irrespective of whether you're on the global scene, you're on the local scene, but what
Hmm.
is the significance? Can reading be something every person, irrespective of culture, regardless, share as a common denominator? What are the significance for every culture as an author of authority?
I mean, I think it's essential, regardless of what your culture is. I mean, and it doesn't have to be limited to politics. Politics was just the thing that I gravitated towards the most. But if you'd like to write romance, if you'd like to read romance, you read romance and then you learn how to write it. You write horror novels, you read horror first. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's just important to understand where. Number one, you have to understand where the market is at and what the
Yeah.
authors are writing to,
Wow.
and what's going
Wow.
on right now.
Wow.
And then because as you read, you're going to keep up with the times and what it is that's what's hot right now. I mean, I think you remember
Yeah.
when there was a time when the Twilight series was really hot. So I mean, everybody was writing vampire novels.
Yeah.
You know after 9/11, everybody was writing terrorism novels. It
Wow.
kind of
Wow.
the market changes. People's mood
Yeah.
changes. So
Wow.
reading
Wow.
is yeah, reading is really important, not only for your yourself and your own education and
Yeah.
being able, but you need to be able to understand what's going on within the literary world.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I love how you share your insight.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I am humbled to have a fine mind like you on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Automat Scott, I like you to take us into your books. What problems? Because it seems from our conversations, it seems that you're this writer that always have your readers in mind, and it
Absolutely.
seems that you always have a niche, your target audience. It
Hmm.
seems like you have your goals, like you're solid. So I like to ask you, for our audience globally, I like you to take us into your book. What problems were you trying to solve? What were you trying to do in your own series? What were you trying to do? Where are we going to? What it is we are expecting? Tell us what Matt Scott have to do with us.
Well, I mean, I was, because I've, read thriller novels, or my main point of enjoyment for thriller novels was the thriller series. I wanted to write, thriller novels. So, like I
Yeah.
said earlier, I'd always been interested in Iran, especially, with their relationship or even lack thereof, with the United States and with the West. So I always thought that Iran was a country that wasn't well explored within the novels. So one
Mm.
thing you can definitely expect from my series of novels. My first book was Surviving the Lion's Den. My second
Mm.
was the Iranian Deception, and the final one was the Ayatollah Takedown. But one thing you can find within all of them is I take the readers on a tour of Iran,
Mm.
and I got that. It was always kind of fascinating to me the way Dan Brown took people on a tour of Paris and London when he wrote the Da Vinci Code. So I wanted to do
Mm.
that with a location that people were less familiar with, at least in this day and time. So I
Yeah.
wanted to explore Iran. So that's one thing you can definitely expect. But one all three of my novels are spy thrillers. So if you really want me to crack them down to a couple of different things, my first book, Surviving the Lion's Den, um, was about a young man whose grandfather died and he was murdered by the Iranians, and he goes over there for revenge, and
Wow.
there he finds a CIA agent that had been kidnapped, and they have to try and escape Iran together. So I mean, the main point,
Mm.
it's a thrill ride that's really based on escape, and
Okay.
it has a lot of personal moments because you see Iran through the protagonist's eyes. Um,
Wow.
Now, my second novel, The Iranian Deception, was a little bit different because I used a character that was in the first book, but I made him where he was a minor character in the first book, but I made him the protagonist in the second book. And, one of the things that I always wanted to kind of explore was this idea of, a connection between the Iranians and the Nazis, because Hitler
Yeah.
had actually visited Iran, I think in 1936, I think, if I remember right. I might not be right on that date, but it's around that time.
Mm,
What connections, because, there's still a deep hatred for the Iranians against Israel. What connections are there that still reside between Iran and the Nazis? And what I came up
mm,
with was a plot for Iran to kind of take over the Middle East and be the leader of the Middle East, kind of
mm,
like the way the United States is with NATO.
mm.
And my protagonist Ben Thrasher, has to spoil that plot. So it's a very action packed novel. I think I've gotten
Mm.
a lot of good comments about it
Wow.
from readers, so I think they'll really
Wow.
enjoy it. And
Wow.
my third novel, The Ayatollah Takedown, it kind of takes place only a couple of months after the second book, and it's essentially about regime change. How can Ben Thrasher and his team,
Yeah.
create regime change in Iran? And it was honestly, it was one of those novels where I had nothing to lose, so I kind of just went for broke. And there's a couple of twists and turns in there that I'm really proud of, and that I've gotten good
Wow.
feedback from the readers on.
Wow. 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 I'm so humbled. Automat Scott.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Wow. Like wow. I'm short of words. You're so tall. You're so tall and cumbersome. Wow. Well, on the one student, one book, one author mantra, we are with a room full of book. Automat Scott. Automat Scott is a masterpiece and great writer of three great, amazing books from Surviving the Lion's Den, The Iranian Deception, and The Ayatollah Takedown. Automat Scott, I like to ask you, how do we get your book? How do we have hard copies? How many pages are there? What are our expectations? How do we build a rapport with you? How do we get to share with you? Mhm.
Okay. Well, you can. My books are available. If you want the e-reader or the digital version, you can get it on all platforms, which is Google Play, Apple iBooks, and a couple of the other platforms. But those are the two main ones. If you want the paperback copy, you have to order it from Amazon. It's order on demand. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can certainly get it within a couple of days. But if you want to connect with me, you can always go to my website, mattscottbooks.com, and use the contact feature. But if you want to just email me directly, my email address is mattscottbooks@gmail.com. And if you want to reach me on social media, I have a regular Facebook account just under the name Matt Scott. And my handle on both Instagram and Twitter is at Matt Scott Books. And I always make time for people who want to contact me. So please feel free.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So you have a whole lot of following and readers in Asia.
I'm trying to get more, but yeah, I've got good engagement so far.
Wow, beautiful. Because you wrote something very amazing. And we just hate to see great books while you are straight in the garage. Well, I'm going to explore looking at Matt Scott. Wow, we get to the point on the show where Automat Scott will be leading us into his library. I know this man is going to pass for a room full of books. And before you do, Automat Scott, I like you to share with us which authors would you say are these big names that would take credit for your class motivation and inspiration to take on a task like being an author.
Oh wow. Well, I think the first one at the top of the list has to be Vince Flynn. Unfortunately, the world lost Vince Flynn, I think, to cancer in 2012. But His books have continued on. Kyle Mills has written them, since he died, and I think it's going on to another author, Don Bentley, who is getting ready to take over the series, who I know is going to do a great job. But Vince Flynn's original novels are always going to be at the top of my list. Second one is going to be Brad Thor. I think Brad now has 27 novels or so, and he's right in line, running neck and neck with Vince Flynn. An author that people may not know a lot about, but he has been very successful and was very inspirational to me. Was an author named Joel C. Rosenberg. He has a couple of different series under his belt, but his first series, which was really dealt with kind of the end of days type situation, was very good. And then, but I actually read his second series first, which was based in Iran. So I mean, that one really kind of inspired me. I think Jack Carr is doing some really good things. He's the one that wrote The Terminal List, that has a series on Amazon. I think his new book is getting ready to come out in a couple of months. David Baldacci, definitely. He's probably the best seller.
I'm not going to pretend. You have like 6 authors in different series. Am I not going to give up already?
Sorry, I get a little carried away, but David Baldacci was very inspirational to me, because I actually got to meet him before I started my book. And
wow, that's awesome. That's beautiful. So it seems you are a very strong and ardent or committed person so far this ministry of reading and book and creativity is concerned.
Yeah, I try to be. I try to be.
Wow, amazing. Well, the podcast is designed to help use your good office and authority as an author to inspire and motivate a global reader, a committed reader out of every global person. And our target has been students and people who are yet to carve a niche for themselves, people who are yet to know what life has for them. So for you, for someone who has all of this education, what would be your words to someone who is yet to carve a niche for themselves, someone who is going through stuff, and that's someone who is yet to read a book? What would be your words to them?
Be fearless. Don't ever be afraid to pick up a book. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to read it. Books are designed to take people on a journey, and it's one of those mediums that will exist forever. So your first step is to always find something that you will be interested in, whether it's nonfiction, fiction, romance, historical, whatever the case may be. Find something that you're interested in. And if you're a younger reader, start with some of the young adult novels. If you're an adult that's just starting out, start out with something that is a little smaller, 200, 250 pages, something like that. And then your confidence will grow, and your ability to get through the books will grow, and then you can start moving on to the books like mine that are between 300 and 400 pages. And then as you read and as you get used to it, I guarantee you, once you find an author or a genre that you really love, you're going to want more. And as you read, you're gonna absorb a lot of knowledge. And I really believe that's where the creative juice, so to speak, starts forming within yourself, and then you'll want to write. So that would be my piece of advice.
Wow. Automat Scott, I'm so humbled, like I'm beyond thrilled to have a fine mind and a minder's heart like you on this podcast.
You're making me blush.
Yeah, you are an asset. So far the world of reading, books, authors, and creativity is concerned. Like, you're really a force, and humanity is so blessed that you put on the effort and was disciplined to write your books and give us something amazing to read. You are
Wow,
just so
thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I really do
it
appreciate it.
requires a whole lot of effort for you to do what you do, and we
Thank you.
say congratulations.
Thank you
Okay,
so
on the
much. I really do
show,
appreciate it.
thank you, Automat Scard. We've been on to Automat Scard. Automat Scard is an amazing mind, and trust me, you would love to devour some amazing reads from Matt Scard. Don't forget that Matt Scott is an author of 3 books, and we're going to be adding his book link, Amazon link on the podcast note, so you can obviously get to see yourself, meet Matt Scott in person. And trust me, it's going to be an engrossed opportunity for you. Automat Scott, I was engrossed the entire time on this show, so I know that you're going to take us by our hands and take us to Dreamyland. Thank you very much for honoring Ivy. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your time and effort.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not going to have you name the 10 books because I already know you'll pass for a room full of books. So I know already that you're a room full of books, and I know already that you are a reading advocate. So this is who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that we still have fine people like you. And we still have people
Thank you
like
so
you who
much.
are very pragmatic and honest to this mission. Thank you very much, Mascot. It's an opportunity to have you on our show. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. So, with this, we come to the end of the One Student, One Book, One Author mantra, the Global Readers Circle, the ultimate podcast designed to help inspire and motivate a lifelong learner out of every global person, especially the student. Don't forget that on the occasion of World Book Day, you are advised to read one book, read that book past chapter 2, share reviews with your friend. And don't forget that you're going to become the books you'd read and the people you would meet. So we offer you Automat Scarth, and we're telling you that his books are worth all of those devouring. Trust me, surviving the lion's den would be what number one for you, and you would love it. So I'm sure that this is an opportunity for you to meet an author, and this is an opportunity for you to explore and meet new people. Automat Scott, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I am pleased on behalf of a Global Readers Circle and a podcast community. I am your host, Smart Steward Udor. Thank you very much for having this opportunity. Matt Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you.